that we are streaming live directly from YouTube, from our YouTube channel. It's been a hectic day, but today is a day of celebration for African people worldwide. Today we celebrate our leader, our champion, our visionary, our voice of the voiceless, and a voice of the African people worldwide, Professor PLO Lumumba. Today we celebrate him. The whole of Facebook has been celebrating him. Every organizations and associations alienated or affiliated to Professor Pierre Lumumba has been celebrating him. And today our show was supposed to go on live on Facebook, which we already started. And suddenly now we are on YouTube. We are on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. For all of you that have subscribed to our YouTube, make sure you follow us on this stream. Make sure you follow us on this stream. Today we are going to celebrate Professor PLO Lumumba, who was born exactly on this day, 17th of July, 1962. If you are watching me, let me know where you're watching from as I welcome you into this stream of today. Today, we're going to be watching a leader that has been a visionary. We're going to watch two very important videos that he made and that went viral. That was the involvement of China in Africa, and also the video on Africa's economic and its leadership. But before we watch that video, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to also discover Professor PLO Lumumba from another source, from another way, and from who he is in his private life and his hobbies. What is it that he likes doing? What is how does he actually implement what other cultures in terms of martial art, in terms of sport, in terms of cultural and entertainment? How does Professor PLO Lumumba goes about it? And as you have seen, he is not just a leader that advises, or he is not just only an advocate, but he is also a very simple houseman. Like I can say, he is a good father, he is a good husband, he is loved and cherished by Africans worldwide, and particularly also his community when he grows up. So Professor PLO Lumumba is a champion, is our champion for today. Now, why is it very important, African people, or for us to celebrate our leaders, especially the leaders of today, especially our today's leaders? It's because we have understood, or we have seen, or we even talk about it ourselves, that other cultures celebrate life when people are alive. But us Africans, particularly us African people, we are known to celebrate life after it's gone. We are known to appreciate our leaders, like leaders of the past, dear Pan-Africanists of the past, when they are gone. So we are changing this narrative as well. Today, and today's leader of a united Africa, of one Africa, of good governance in Africa, the kind of leadership that connects us worldwide as Black people, we have to start celebrating them when they are alive. Come to think about the others. Look at Muammar Gaddafi. Look at His Excellency Patrice Emery Lumumba. Look at Thomas Sankara. Look at Nkwame Nkrumah. Look at all the leaders of the past. Look at Marcus Garvey. Look at Martin Luther King. Look at Malcolm X. All of the voices that we ever had in the community, we only start celebrating them when they are no more, when they exit from the world to meet our ancestors. What does that mean for us African people? We have to change these narratives. We have to change it. So we have to celebrate our leaders when they are alive. We have to show them respect. We have to show them that we can protect them, that we can own this new leadership, that we can build the Africa we want together. It is on this note, ladies and gentlemen, that I am welcoming you tonight for us to celebrate collectively as a people, as a continent, as a nation, as a global people of African descent, the leadership of Professor PLO Lumumba. And like I said, before we go into this special celebration of today, hey, let us just watch a video about the other side of Professor PLO Lumumba, how he spends his time, what are his hobbies, what is it that he does in his private time. Watch this video with me. Thank you. Yes, so that is the Professor PLO Lumumba that a lot of people don't know, that a lot of people don't understand. You see how he spends his quality time, engaging in martial art, karate. He's a man of value. And exactly this is how we Africans should balance life and work and engagement. So we are not only celebrating a voice, we're also celebrating a statesman, a great leader, a voice of the voiceless. We're celebrating a leader that is advocating even for equality in international partnerships. We're talking about global partners in Europe and other countries that are doing in collaborating with Africa. He advocates on those relationships. Most of us Africans know him like a leader and a voice for change, but the world, the whole world, the global world knows Professor PLO Lumumba as a human, as a humanity person, as a person with values for human, for nature, for love, for peace, for harmony, for solutions, for peaceful solutions in the world. Now, when he talks about Africa and good governance and leadership, particularly, he doesn't leave out the point of educating us about our relationship, particularly with China. Let us watch this video and listen keenly to what he says.
You know, as I talk about African unity, China refuses to get out of my mind. And I hope I'm wrong. But the Chinese know that we are disunited. And they know that in our disunited state we can be manipulated. And they are in the process of manipulating us. So today, there is not a single African country in which the Chinese have not built a stadium. They think we love stadia. There is not a single African country in which they are not building some roads. The Chinese are capable of delivering three types of qualities of the things they do. Quality number one, they take to the United States of America and Europe. Quality number two, they take to their fellow Asian countries, including India. Quality number three, which is at the very bottom, they dump in Africa, and the Africans consume them gleefully. And it's because of our disunity, we are incapable of speaking with one voice. You know, many times when I look at Ghana, the Ghanaian president, whom I respect, is invited to Beijing to negotiate with Beijing, as indeed the Kenyan president would be, and the Burundi president, to negotiate with Beijing on a bilateral basis. And when they invite African leaders, they humor them, complete with guards of honor and 21 gun salutes, so that they think that they are equal. But the Ghanaian economy's GDP is possibly 1/3 of the GDP of the city of Beijing. The Burundian economy is only $2 billion United States dollars, which is the same amount that an American professional boxer earns in 1 year. The economy of Benin is smaller than Coca-Cola's advertising budget for 1 year. In other words, African economies are Mickey Mouse economies which cannot compete. And because we are disunited, we are incapable of moving as one unit. The European Union wants to have what they call bilateral negotiations with Benin. The European Union's combined economy, perhaps the largest market in the world today, is something in the neighborhood of 14 trillion United States dollars if you combine the European Union economy, and you have bilateral negotiations with Benin. That is smaller than the turnover of Standard Chartered Bank. In other words, the president of Standard Chartered Bank could very well be the one negotiating with the president of Benin, if we were to be realistic. But that is because we are disunited. And I'm submitting to us that the only antidote to that is our unity. I know, as I said yesterday, that there are already efforts to move Africa in the direction of unity at the economic front, but the suspicions in Africa are too great. The African politician is perhaps, with due respect to them, Africa's curse.
Yes, the African problem, with due respect to our politicians, is a curse. This is a man of his words. That's why we honor him. We celebrate him on this special day. Like I said before, gone are those days where we celebrate our leaders in the past. It has been known that we African people are notorious to celebrate even our loved ones or respect and honor one another only when they go. Now, when you have a close friend or a family or a brother or a community person as an African, you see the eulogies that we say when they're dead, but when they're alive, we can't even show them that love. This has to change. And on a day of leadership like this, with a warrior and a champion, a man that has put his life to the forefront like all his ancestors did, Africans, are we going to back up on him? No. And now the new Africa is here, where we start by doing, not just talking, where we start by celebrating our heroes when they are alive. We're not going to wait until he joins his ancestors. We pray, and God forbid that nothing meets him, and then we start sharing pictures online, and we start sharing all these stories that he is telling us and this education. It is time for us, Africa. When we unite, that we move into the new Africa. And this new Africa, I told you, is starting with our own platform, Afro World. Now you just see, as I was telling you guys last week, that we are not even sure to be there for a week. And now we've been finally left out. It is the time now for us to build our own. I'm not looking for crowd of Africans. The Pan-African Daily TV is the voices of African people worldwide. Any African that is hungry and is thirsty for motherland, for development, for equality, to take Africa to the next level, to remove ourselves from abject poverty, then we must find the right channel. We're not going to sympathize or stay and play games and just discuss with people. No, we're going to walk the talk. And today we start. Normally, a day like this in Europe, for a man like Professor PLO Lumumba, it's going to be a public holiday. But we Africans in the world, we're happy when he makes these good speeches. But when it comes to his day, we are all mute. But I want to thank all of you that are watching, that have been following me, even as I just made this short announcement and you're here in your numbers for us to celebrate the leadership of Africa. And from this day onward, this is how we're going to celebrate our leaders. We're going to celebrate ourselves as Africans, our achievements, and then we celebrate our continent. The change of Africa starts with us. It starts with us doing the smaller things to realize the bigger things. We cannot talk about development when we don't talk about love among ourselves. We cannot talk about a united Africa when we ourselves as Black people are not united. We cannot talk about ourselves, about technology and development and the potentials and opportunities of Africa when we, young, smart, intelligent Africans, cannot build a platform that is called our own. This has to change. And on this special day when we're celebrating Professor PLO Lumumba, he told us on the Pan-African Daily TV Facebook and said, it is time for you to build your own Facebook. It is time for you Africans to relocate and own a space on your own. And I am humbled, you all watching me, you Pan-Africans, that we did it. We did the Afro World. And you've been subscribing to it. And it's going to be the biggest dream on the continent, on the planet, and for African people. And today we're celebrating him because he gave us that dream. He gave us that vision. And I cannot be more humbled. Tomorrow he's going to inaugurate it, not on that same platform. And that is the reason why even today we were brought down, because he told us, until you start producing your own, we cannot develop, we cannot unite. And today it just happened on his day, on his birthday, that he's not going to deliver that speech to us tomorrow on Facebook, but on YouTube. Yes, even YouTube is still not our own. But of course, YouTube is a place for streaming. It's a place for music. On Facebook, we could not do that. And it is also not intolerant and not racist in that case as the other platform. But we are grateful because we have to make this Africa work. I am not disappointed, not at all, not at all. You would never see me disappointed. And exactly is the same words of Dr. Arikana Chihombariko, who would be with us tomorrow. And our sister Juliet Ryan, who ought to have been with us now, said, you know what, Susan, I would join the two tomorrow and we will all be together. So join us tomorrow, 3 p.m. live here with Professor PLO Lumumba, 7 p.m. with live here with Juliet Ryan, and 9 p.m. with Dr. Arikana Chihombariko. And on Sunday, we're going to have Dr. Tony Jaja and Osman Toure live on YouTube for the first time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As we watch this next video, which is going to be a turning point, how we Africans should move ahead, only delivered to us by Professor PLO Lumumba, the greatest voice and the most cherished on the continent. And we young Africans, I'm not that young, but you young people to whom we are building the Africa we want, to whom we surrender everything, to whom all of us sit here and give our lives to the world. We don't bother what is going to happen to us and our families, but we do it for you. We pay that price for you so that Africa can be free. And I guarantee you that we are never going to give up. I guarantee you that we have all taken that oath of Africa and our ancestors to put this challenge up to the day where we no longer breathe anymore. And I encourage you, one another, don't be afraid. It is only a challenge. Don't be afraid, Africans. Stand up to the continent that you own. Stand up to your resources. Stand up to your people. Stand up to your values. Stand up to your opportunities and your potentials and defend it with all the pride. Nothing is going to happen to you. We will all stand up for this Africa till the last Africa standing up live. We all will defend motherland. We all would fight for the Africa that gave us life. We all would find a solution to get ourselves on an economic piloting project. Ladies and gentlemen, AfroWorld has come to stay, and it's going to be the biggest e-commerce platform for our development, for our projects, for our businesses, for our culture, for all our potentials. And it is time we are going to separate with some of these charlatans that have been exploiting our people for ages. We're going to separate from them. Yes, I have said it. My predecessors have said it. My ancestors have said it. And in the name of my children and the name of African people and in the name of my family, I say it again today. We all would stand up until the last African alive for the liberty and the unity of African people worldwide. Take my words today. Thank you so much for watching. Let us move on with our celebration and let us watch this next video. Thank you.
The erstwhile colonial master was going to be more pernicious, but in a very subtle way. Kwame Nkrumah was right. He reminded his audience that going forward it was necessary and indeed urgent that Africans should begin to think as one whole, because if they remained in disunity, they would remain weak and vulnerable and therefore susceptible to manipulation. Kwame Nkrumah was right. He reminded his audience that because many of, if not all of the African countries were artificial, they were created in Berlin, and the boundaries were artificial. But he urged his audience that they should respect the inviolability of the boundaries, because if they tried to redraw the boundaries, conflict would never end. And that was reinforced in 1964 in Cairo on the doctrine of inviolability of inherited boundaries. I remind us of this particular incident 58 years ago because in 2013, the African Union came with Agenda 2063. And if you look at the text of Agenda 2063 and the speeches that were given around it, it was the rehash of what Kwame spoke about and the other leaders spoke about. And it's not lost on me last year that one of the themes of African Union was the silencing of the guns by the year 2020. I'm not a Jewish prophet, but the guns will not be silent next year. In fact, there are more guns that are emerging in Africa, which means that peace is still very elusive. And then we have been given the history. The founding fathers of the African countries took the view that because we are states made out of many nations, there was wisdom in having a style of politics that was different. So that in the early days of many African countries, many leaders held the view. Whether they were mistaken or not is another debate for another day. But they held the view that one of the things that they had to do was to have single-party states, so that if you went to Zaire then, or Congo before it became Zaire, or Zambia, or Malawi, or Kenya, or Uganda, or Tanzania, everybody believed that in order to hold the many nationalities together, you needed a single party under whose aegis organization of state affairs would be undertaken. Mistakes were made. And then the conceptual West convinced us that our salvation could only come from something they call democracy. And I'm using the word very deliberately, something they call democracy, which they defined. And they defined it in English, if you are colonized by the English. And they defined it in French, if you are colonized by the French. And they defined it in Portuguese, if you are colonized by the Portuguese. And they defined it in Spanish, if you are colonized by the Spaniard. We never defined it in Kinyarwanda. No. It was never defined in Igbo or Yoruba. And we were told after the collapse of the Soviet Union that democracy was equals to 1, multi-party politics, 2, periodic elections, 3, limitation of terms of the presidency. That is how the conceptual West defined it for us. And we who have had the advantage, if it is an advantage at all, of being educated in the West, there is a sense in which our thought processes are also confined by those definitions. However much we want to free ourselves, we find our default mode being how we were trained. So when we define democracy, we are also caught up in this box. Sometimes we tell ourselves to think outside of the box, but the true north of our thought processes still remains the box. We never think without the box. So when we talk about peace in Africa, and we talk about adversarial politics, we are not talking about anything that is African. The political party is not African. It is something that we inherited. You know, in the United Kingdom, they talk about the loyal opposition, loyal to the monarchy. Because there is a process. Permit me to say at this stage that Africa deals with diversity much better than Europe. Much better. If you look at your typical European nation, the Dutch is the Dutch.
Yes. So, my dear people, what is it that I wanted us to hear from this video and the reality of Africa today? He made a statement and said something they call democracy. Something they call democracy. That's what the world defines and brings it to us. And we all know that democracy is a Greek word and it originated from Greece. But look at how Greece is today. How democratic are they? Let us just look at all their systems. So we are more than great and even democratic with our Ubuntu, with our spirit of oneness, with our spirit of we people. We are the we people. I cannot live without you. You cannot live without me. And Africa has everything to teach the world. I told you once, for those of you that know me for long, I said, Africa, the world has nothing to teach you. Nothing. Now, when we look at the political statement he made and said, something they call democracy, something they call democracy. And when they begin to change the narratives, And they bring us to divide us with our leaders. They begin to say, we are not democratic. Our leaders are not democratic. You know, the world has a component called divide and rule. And what we understand and we have seen in the world today is they divide us against our leaders and they divide our leaders against us. I'm not saying that our leaders are perfect, but if you understand when they tell you that freedom of speech, where is it occurring in the world? It only occurs in Africa. Only in Africa. Until they start bringing their instruments called the sole instruments of democracy to tell us that we are not democratic enough. What have they just done to us? You can't share your opinion. We cannot even educate ourselves on our history, on our past. We don't even have a right on Facebook to educate ourselves about the same history that they wrote about us and kept them in their libraries and kept them in their museums and kept them in their schools. But we don't have a right to talk about that same history called the Black history. Because we're having conversations to educate ourselves, to mentor to ourselves. No, we are not supposed even to own the history of your ancestors. Your ancestors that were not given the right, that were stolen away from you. And we are disconnected. And today, we begin to call ourselves Afro-Americans, Afro-Germans, Afro-Europeans, Afro-Chinese. Are we? No. We are all descendants of Africans. Our brothers in the diaspora, be them from Jamaica, be them the Black Indians, be them the Black Chinese. There is one unique identity that connects us, my people, our color. Don't even go to ask where your brother and sister comes from. If he has the same color like you, then he is your brother and sister. It doesn't matter whether he was born and raised in the Haiti, or he was born and raised in the Aborigines, or in New Guinea, Papa. As you can see, all of them are your brothers and sisters. They can be your aunties. They can be your uncles. They can be your cousins. How do you know? Africans. That is the reason we must unite. It is not a choice. It is a must. If you're an African listening anywhere on the planet, on the continent, as in the diaspora, it is a must that we must unite. Maybe the first war that we would have to fight is a war of unity between ourselves. What about that? When is the last time that even a new a military solution could be the solution for our liberty and our freedom? Why not? Why not? Because if the world would not give us the freedom that we are advocating for, maybe, just maybe, we should start also constructing our own nuke. Why not? Why not? It is time for us to be ready for our freedom, for our development, and even for the worst, to go to war. How many wars have they fought? Germany fought how many wars? Today, they are one of the greatest economy in Europe. My people, tell me how it happened. Africans, you need to think. We should not only say Africa is rising, we should wake up, but we need to innovate. We need to innovate. The Afro World Platform has come to give you young people the liberty, the freedom to express. You know how rich we are culturally. Take even anything an African would make it the best in the world. Give us music. We become the best artists on the earth. Give us paintings. They talk about Picasso. We paint the shit out of them. I'm sorry about my language. Give us anything on the earth. We will do it to the best. What are we waiting for? Waiting for what kind of democracy that the same masters of democracy cannot democratize themselves? It is time for you to wake up. Don't sleep in your bed and think that the world will change, Africans. You are too great. You are too powerful. You are too resourceful. The world is looking out for you, young people. Everything you see, and we call it racism. No, Africans, it is jealousy. It is not race. It is jealousy. Race can be another narrative that they have fashioned it and given it to us, and we go about exciting about it. No, they're jealous of your color, of your intelligence, of your culture, of Ubuntu. No people are so lovely. No people share the biggest laughter than you African people. No. Visit their countries and see how sad humanity is. And it is you, Africa, that has to teach the world peace. And that's why we celebrate Professor PLO Lumumba today, because he is an advocate, a solution for peace on the continent. On the behalf of the people of Cameroon, on my people from Cameroon, particularly the people of Southern Cameroon's Amazonia, Professor PLO Lumumba has not relented his effort going around panel to panel talking to Amazonians. He doesn't even know them. He's not related to them. They are not Kenyans. But he doesn't see tribe. He doesn't see color. He sees humanity. When is the time, African people, that we are going to carry up that flag and celebrate this kind of personality? When are we going to pull down all the images in our houses that we've been celebrating, colonial masters that have bastarded us, and their images and their statues are parading our streets? When are we going to erect the pyramid or the statues of Professor PLO Lumumba? Think about it. When are we going to erect the statues of Dr. Arikana Chikomborikwa? Think about it. When are we going to put the pillars of Maponga Joshua III of Zimbabwe? Think about it. When are we going to put the pillars of Julius Malema? Think about it. When are we going to put the pillars of Dr. Tony Jaja? Think about it. We should not put them when they are gone. We should start by doing it now. When are you going to put my own pillar? Think about it. Where are you going to think about Mama Rihanna? Think about it, and Dr. Mumbi, and all the voices, the young voices of Pan-Africanism today. When are we going to erect their statues? That is your responsibility, people of Africa. It is history, and history would always repeat itself. Now we see the young voices, even the young Usman Touré, and a million of them out there speaking. And all of you would be my guests on the Pan-African Daily TV. All of you. If you have a talent, you have an innovation, you have something to create in the name of Africa, in the pride of the African people, be my guest on the Pan-African Daily TV. I am live every day. And as I start this solution, we will be live from 12 o'clock every day. We will share our stories. We will share our beauty. Let us give something else to the world that they don't want to give about us. Why are we shy? Where do you keep your beautiful streams and rivers and hills and sunshine? Where do you keep those marvelous students playing in, children running in the rains naked and enjoying Mother Nature? Where do we keep these stories? They say we can't read books. Of course. Our culture was not a culture of reading books. Our culture was a culture of storytelling. Our ancestors told us stories when we gathered at the fireplaces in the evening when the rains were falling and we roasted corn. And our grandfathers would tell us the story and the lineage of our ancestors. Oh, your grandfather was like this. He was a warrior. He fought wars. He constructed roads. He built bridges. That is the African philosophy in our lives. We never had any malicious intention to document those things so as to start making money out of our own people in the name of research and resources and whatever, and book and literature. And today they call you an illiterate man because they think you don't know. They don't know that we're people of storytelling. Now they want us to start reading books to our children. No, tell your story of your generation to generations. That is us, because we're people. We're people to people. We're not books oriented. We are not technologically and talking in front of a camera. I don't see you. Do you know how painful that is, African people? I cannot wait for pandemic to give us a space where we meet face to face, where we visit the continent and every corner on the planet, where we tell our stories, where we hug one another, where we see us. Do you think I like sitting behind the camera and talking to you, my brothers and sisters? I miss you all. I miss you in the Caribbean. I miss you in America. I miss you all over on the continent. But because this is the space, I see Connect and I see you, I am strong. And I know you should be strong. So give me a break. Let us celebrate life. Let us begin to sing the words of Professor PLO Lumumba to our children. Make sure you play these videos. They are available every day. They would be available on the Pan-African Daily TV, 1st to 31st, all his videos, all his poems. The videos of Dr. Arikana would be available here. Why? Because every evening, even when you are walking in your streets, on the farms, connected in your ears, and you listen to the great words of Malcolm X. Listen to the great words of Marcus Garvey. They all have their audios. For you to be empowered, for you to stay in connection with your people, you need to listen to your history, to their voices every day. Play it on the screen every day for your children to watch. Don't watch anything you don't know. Don't promote the stories of people you don't know, who don't even respect you. Make sure you connect the Pan-African Daily TV. We're going to talk about our stories. And when we have our challenges, we would all sit down in the community and solve them. We're not going to go to court. Court systems are not African systems. No, those are politically fashioned agendas for us. We can solve our problems. And I borrow the words of Maponga Joshua saying, hey, there are things that we're going to separate from these systems. The prisons, we don't need it. We don't need prisons in the new Africa. We are able to solve our problems. We are able to sit amongst ourselves. Now, where is even the criminality coming about? How did our ancestors do it? Did they build high prisons? Now, when they want to incarcerate our people, when they want to push us against one another, when they want to take our husbands away from us and leave us free women so that they can be able to molest us and leave our children go untrained without a mother and a father, they would stamp a crime on you and they will put us into jail. Now we know it. We understand all those tricks. Our women out there, they choose now to be free. No, that was not our culture, and that is still not our culture. Our men are kings. And the kings, they have their responsibilities. They build bridges, they build roads, they dig all the hard work. We, the women, are the brains behind, the subtle brains. Look at the economy of Africa today. 60% of Africa's economy is being pushed by the Bayam Selams. We call them in Amazonia the Bayam Selams. We call them in Cameroon the Bayam Selams. The market women on the street. The women in the farms that dig the farms and toil. Yes, they are the ones contributing 60% to Africa's economy at the silent voices of the women. We don't need to parade the street and say we're strong. What is strongness? It is still a borrowed narrative of the West. We African women, we have strength. And this strength, we share it from our kings, from the love you shower upon us African men. We are proud of you. And nobody can take that away from us. We are great. just like your ancestors were. They fought wars. Look at Sudan. Look at the people of Egypt. Look at the pyramid. They didn't need any technology. They didn't even need platforms. We are going to start thinking of developing technologies that we will not be using all these platforms. How were we functioning in the past? We connected. Hand to hand, people to people, soul on soul, body to body. Because our strength comes from people, from us. And when they come to divide us and tell us it's technology, oh, I'm sorry. Now we become to be functional people, and like aliens, we don't feel one another again. We don't feel the warmth of our children when we separate them and put them into the so-called children's room. Hey, people, particularly you on the continent, when your mother and your parents gave birth to you, at what time did you separate all the village people? Till today, when I visit my mother in the village, we sleep on the same bed. Because the power and the strength of connectivity is what makes us strong. Today, we become to say we're civilized because a toddler, a baby who is not even a month, has already a room, has been plucked off from the mother's breast because the mom has to go and work. And we say we are strong. And we say because money controls us, and we say we want to be free. We are free. Queens, we are free. Kings, we are free. Who taught you that you were not free? Who? That is not civilization. And that is not democracy. No. We know it. Ask your mother and your father. Ask your grandmother and your father. Ask them. How did they deliver us without hospitals? How? We're not saying that we're going to go back to the jungles and live on the street or walk or live under the trees. But if it should be, why not? This wall that we're seeing is gone. Now the whole systems are relocating into a new world. What about you, Africa? Instead of pushing the agenda forward, we have to be regressing. Back to the roots is the solution. Back to our African spirituality. Which gods were our ancestors worshiping before they brought us religion and the church? Which gods? Find it out for yourself, people. Talk to your ancestors. Talk to the elders in the village. How were we living? We're going to write our history again. We're going to tell our stories again. We're going to meet under the Mount of Kilimanjaro. We're going to meet under the street of Addis Ababa. We're going to meet in the streets of Casablanca. We're going to meet in Dar es Salaam. We're going to meet in Moshi. We're going to meet in Accra. We're going to meet in Kumasi. We're going to meet in Lagos. We're going to meet as one big family, and nothing can stop it. And if one goes down, the next will continue until the one man standing alive. Africa must be free from this day and onward. Thank you so very much for being my guest tonight. Thank you for sharing this wonderful, beautiful moment with our dear, lovely Professor PLO Lumumba. And we see ourselves tomorrow. Watch out for the flyers that I'll be dropping down on my timeline on Facebook, of course, and also in the WhatsApp group. And please make this video go viral. From today, we left Facebook and we are on YouTube. Subscribe, share the link, and we continue the conversations. Nothing should stop you, African people, from being united and loving yourself and taking back ownership of your continent and your people. Thank you. God bless you. We see us tomorrow, same time on the Pan-African Daily TV. One love, one people, one voice, one color for humanity. Bye-bye.